Hello, everybody. Good late morning, early afternoon, whatever, wherever it is, where you are. We uh, we got to talk about these last few weeks for the regular season because things have taken a pretty drastic turn for the worse. Yesterday did not help. Obviously, the Seahawks had full control of everything, and the losses that they've accrued to teams that they absolutely could have beaten are the reason why they're here right now. And to call this a collapse, I think, is fair. This team was 6-3 in a weak conference. Things looked good. They had a chance to win the division, and now 5 games later, not only are they eliminated from the division, but they've now got the odds stacked against them in the playoffs. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that. I wanted to talk about what it would take to right this ship at this point because I know that is the question that a lot of Seahawks fans are going to have this week. What is it going to take to right this ship? What is it going to take for these Seahawks to find their way into the playoffs after the debacle of the last 5 games, where you've won one game against a terrible Rams team in the final minute and you've lost games to teams that you should have beaten, that you were expected to beat, and you now find yourself in a position where your season, which looked so much better than most people expected, is now looking very similar to how I expected big picture wise. I said before the season 6 or 7 wins. I think I ended on 6, but I said maybe 7. Right now we got 7. And the way we're playing, it's going to be hard to win any more. But if the team can find a way to win a few more, is it too late? That's the question I want to answer here. Is it too late, and what do we need to happen to make sure that it's not too late? Well, technically, the Seahawks do not control their own playoff destiny. However, if they do win out, if they win their last 3 games, they're going to be okay. And I want to jump on the 538 playoff machine, which I prefer to ESPN's, to illustrate that point as well as the more realistic point. Now, like I said, if we win out, win our next 3 games, 98% we're in the playoffs, which 98% is not 100%, but I think we'd all feel pretty good about that. So, if you want to know if the Seahawks control their own destiny or not, technically they don't, but they basically do. Um, that being said, I think we're all kind of folding on next week in Kansas City. That's probably not going to go the way the Seahawks want it to. So if that win doesn't come to pass, then you are looking at a 2-1 finish producing a 60% playoff odds from 538. That's pretty good. That's better than average, right? That's more likely than not. But here's the question. What do we need to happen outside of the Seahawks winning 2 of their last 3? We've just established that in order to even have this conversation, we need to beat the Jets and the Rams at home to end the year. By the way, if we lose one of those games, then the playoff odds dip to like 7%. Just to point out that no, we're not going to back into the playoffs with a losing record in all likelihood. So we're working from here where we've got 2 of 3. There are 2 teams that I'm really watching at this point. The first is the Lions, the Red Hot Lions. We really needed the Jets to come through for us yesterday. Didn't happen. It was a close game. Zach Wilson actually played okay for the first time in his life, it felt like, but wasn't enough. So if the Lions win out, they're almost certainly in, and the Seahawks are almost certainly out. So we can't have that happening. We need to find one loss at least for the Lions. Remember, we own the tiebreaker. If we're 9-8 and the Lions are 9-8, then the Lions are SOL. So where's the loss coming from? Week 17, they played the Bears. The Bears are one of the worst teams in the league, probably not there. The Packers, week 18. Now that's interesting, right? Because it's in Green Bay. It's going to be cold, outdoors, snowy probably. Lions are a dome team. Excuse me. Wow. It's almost out of my system, guys. It's almost out. But the Packers are bad this year. Then you've got the Panthers, who are playing pretty decent football lately. They lost yesterday, admittedly. But the Panthers, they should be able to at least put up some points on the Lions. So let's say that's the loss. If that's the loss, things flip pretty dramatically. The Seahawks playoff odds go up to 76, which is we would feel pretty good about 76%, right? So if they lose to Green Bay instead, by the way, it matters a little bit. We would prefer them to lose to the Panthers, but it still dramatically decreases the odds of the Lions being able to get in at that point. But let's give them the loss to the Panthers, which I think is most likely right now. So that would put us in a situation more akin to where we were, I think, 2 weeks ago before the Panthers loss. So at this point, I think most Seahawks fans would say, I'll take my chances, but we need a little bit more. 76% is nowhere near a sure thing. And we're going to need one more team to help us out with some losses at the end here, and I believe that team is the Washington Commanders. The Commanders lost that game last night to the Giants, and therefore became the team that I am kind of circling as the team that we need to collapse the rest of the way. The good news is next week they're playing the Giants. I'm sorry. I have San Francisco Giants on the mind. No, it's the San Francisco 49ers. They're going to lose that game. I feel very good about that one. And as you can see, that loss alone boosts us all the way up to 88. It takes the Commanders down to 16%. And that's a pretty solid situation, right? So the problem is, in Week 18, the Commanders play the Dallas Cowboys, and the Cowboys are going to have nothing to play for almost assuredly. It's inconceivable to imagine the Cowboys have something to play for in this game, so they may rest starters and give the Commanders the win. And at that point, now it becomes tricky, because now the Commanders' playoff odds go up to about 46, Seahawks are at about 65. And if I were to give the Commanders the win against the Browns, well, the Commanders get in, and the Seahawks are basically clinging onto whatever the Giants leave behind. The Giants winning that game last night obviously makes their path much easier. And even though I think we can count on the Giants to lose to the Vikings, you can see that at that point it still doesn't help that much. It's still, the tie is just going to screw us. We needed the Giants to outright lose that game to the Commanders, but they couldn't do it, and now here we are looking at them knowing they can afford to lose one more game. They might be able to lose to the Eagles, but the Eagles are not going to have anything to play for in that game either. Who knows how that's going to go? They get the Colts with Jeff Saturday. Good luck getting a win out of the Colts right now. So if we want to finish the job here, let me just zero that out. The best way to do it would be the Commanders lose to the Browns. And this seems possible. This actually now seems quite possible. That would eliminate the Commanders and put the Seahawks in. And I think that's the best path forward. The Seahawks, you need the Commanders to lose 2 more games, and you need the Lions to lose 1 more game, and then you need to win your last 2 games at home. That's the path that I see. There are other paths, don't get me wrong. Like the Giants could lose out, I guess. But at that point, I just feel like I just can't imagine them actually losing to a team like the Colts with the way the Colts are playing right now. And as you can see, the Giants can lose 2 of their last 3 and still get in over the Seahawks, who win 2 of their last 3. So that by itself is not going to be enough. So that's what we're rooting for the rest of the way, people. Lions lose 1 more, Commanders lose 2 more. That's the best path. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks. It starts this weekend. I know most Seahawks fans have already kind of punted on this Chiefs game, but the stuff that we need to start happening needs to start happening this weekend regardless. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks.